So as we said, this is a dialogue. You've all got microphones. I'm going to start without giving you a dollar bill, but giving everybody in the audience a chance to ask a question before I do a canned one. So does anybody want to start with a question? Ooh. There you go.
Hey, nice to meet you, Robin Sebastian, Columbia.
Oh, hi. Nice to finally meet you too. Yeah, hi.
So we're a relatively new company on the market, and we're looking to get press for some of the new products that we have coming in.
Right.
Is it better to have a full story for you, or you're looking to, what's the best way to present information to the journalists to get coverage in the media?
Well, I can speak for me.
Let me repeat the question. What's the best way to get coverage for new brands in the market from people in the trade media?
I mean, it's very simple, and it almost sounds trite, but a very well-written, clean press release starts it off. Just the facts. Let us know what's happening with it. Not a huge romantic story. For instance, mine's a trade publication. Yours, well, these are all trade publications. They're not consumer, so I don't know exactly. They write a little differently than I do, but I don't go in for all the flowery bells and whistles. In fact, one of the things I tell people for my publication alone, no adjectives, please. I don't print any. If I get a press release, I just strip all the adjectives out and I just get to the meat of the matter. Everybody has a different way of doing features, though. I'm weekly, so I don't do long features very often. But the facts, we really want to know who, what, why, when, where. The old journalism credo. That does it for me, and I think they might say the same.
I would agree, but the most important facts are also which outlet covers what, and does it have any relation at all to what you do, what you sell, and what you're looking for. If you don't have distribution, then you're looking for the kind of publication that can help you get that. If you have distribution, you're looking for who's going to help you sell in those markets. And if you read the publications you're courting, you will have a huge advantage knowing what they like and what they need.
David, can I ask you to move your chair back so
Sure.
we're not putting those people behind you? Okay, thank you.
Well, I would say certainly do your research and know the publications that are out there and which ones are relevant to your world. You can also, a lot of them will, like we do, print an editorial calendar. So you'll know during the course of the year what topics we're talking about, and if you see an opportunity to slate something that you have into that, then certainly those magazines would want to know about that. It's helpful if you could come up with a story idea. It sounds like you come from a region that might be up and coming in terms of wine producers. Maybe you can pitch a story idea to somebody which will come back to help you because it's relevant to where you are as a producer.
Follow up to that. So you're a brand owner, or you're a brand owner?
Importer.
Okay, or an importer. Does it matter whether it's an agency who's reaching out to you or whether it's the brand owner or the importer?
Oh, not for me. No. It's news is news. I don't care if it comes from the source, the importer, or the producer, if it just happens to be the company that makes the product, or a PR firm. No, that doesn't matter to me at all.
Okay. This is a softball, but I think it's an important one.
Thank you.
Give us the top 3 tips that you'd give to PR people who may be new to it. So they're just out of journalism school, maybe they're 22 years old, they don't really know much about the wine and spirits industry, they're working for an agency. This was me, but it was a very, very long time ago. What would you tell them so that they don't make some of the mistakes that some of
Okay, I'll be a little repetitive with what I said when I answered Robin's question before. Just the facts. Keep it clean, keep it simple, keep it short. Don't give me a 5-page press release, please. 1 page is good. Those 3 were in there. I had more than 3.
I'm just looking at Tish, and he's got a look in his eye.
Know your target and take advantage of the fact that so much is digital now. You don't have to have one press release. You can tweak your press releases and make sure that they are more appealing to who you're sending them to. So know who you're sending your press materials to, and try to show that you care about the big picture, not just your own product. If you have a product that is going to fit into a category and you can present that makes our job easier, because that's what we're trying to do, to make it justify saying something about something. And if it's new, that's justification, but what is it about that beside it being new? So those are 2.
I would add something. Sorry, well, go ahead. Were you going to say
You
something?
know, just to make our job easier. I mean, I understand that, you know, like you said, if it's concise and it's good, we don't have to go through and rewrite it. That's going to make it much more likely that you get slotted in as opposed to put to the side because it's just too much for us to handle right now. And I would say be persistent. Follow up with the person. Don't just assume you send it once and that's all that has to happen.
Kind of building on that, Tish and I were talking about this the other day. When you talk about do your homework, just read the magazine so that if you've read the magazine and you know what subjects they've covered, and then you can refer to that in your initial thing to give it some context, okay? And the second thing is, that I've always used as a guideline is recognize they're the decision maker, but their audience is interested in certain things, which is help me grow my business. So if your news release is all about how wonderful your brand is, that's nice, but it really isn't what their readers are interested in. When I started in the business, it was in agriculture, and we used to call these wrench stories, meaning you could read an article and go out and fix the tractor when you're done. So the more practical utility there is. Ron? Yeah.
Do I need this?
We can hear you.
No, I can hear you.
I'll repeat it.
Right. I came from 3 other events just to listen to Tish. No, as an independent journalist, I write for anywhere from 8 to 12 outlets. What upsets me, and I read Tish's stuff all the time, is the people who send out, maybe they ought to look to see who the writers are. In other words, Beverage media, yes, iSante, I know, I read, but then when they send it out to other writers, they send stuff out, you know, about tractors, and I don't write about tractors. How about asking the people in PR, if there are any here, why don't you look at the person you're sending it to, Google them, to see what they write about, instead of sending them things that they're just going to junk. I get probably 600 emails a day. I'm just looking, I'm getting rid of all these, and 99% of it goes into the trash.
We all do that. We all get that.
Yeah.
The digital facility is so easy that people send out too many press releases or too much, and we delete them so fast. It's ridiculous. I do want to add something to that, though, that I forgot. This is my third thing. Graphics. If you are going to promote anything, make sure you have those graphics available and visible, accessible, shareable. I get very turned off when I get a press release that just text about a new label or a new product, and I would have to ask for an image of it or have to click through. Okay, I'd have to do 2 clicks. But the idea is get my attention. If I've opened that email, get it quickly. And we all like graphics because graphics are complementary to text, and it's going to give you an advantage right away.
Yeah, what he says about that, I agree with that entirely. I like to have the high resolution images right there as an attachment. Or if it's a link to, download them from someplace that's one click, that's fine. But when people send me a press release and they say, oh, go to our website, you can see everything you want there. You know what? I forget about that product. I don't know why, but I just never remember it again. Never gets, because it's just, I want the information. I don't want to have to work that hard. I'm lazy.
And building on that theme too is give us text that we can easily scrape off something. Sometimes someone will give me a PDF that's fully formatted. We can't get the text off.
That's a good point.
That's good, the
Just
format.
give me a Word document, give me an email with just text, and we're happy.
Sometimes people will take our PDF and send it to us in an image file. You can't copy paste off of an image file. So we don't want to have to retype all this stuff because as he said, he gets 600 emails a day. A lot of us do as well, and we just don't have time. Even if we want to write about it, you just want, as they've both said, try to help make our job a little bit easier. Yes, you had a question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah. Can we, microphone?
Oh.
Okay. It wasn't so much just a question, but you said you'd like to get high-res images. We find that sometimes when we're sending press releases, if we're including a high-res image, it'll bounce because it's too big, the image is too big. So we try to include links to the high-res image.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
On our end, there's a couple things that we're looking to try and do, and we'd like some guidance on that, and that is, sure, we can send out product press releases, we can send out, news, if you will, but we're also looking to, sponsor or foster interest in seed for articles about our appellation, about what's going on in our appellation. We're a newish appellation, we're in Oregon. So do you have any advice on how to get that type of press that isn't just a product release, kind of bet?
I would say if you can fit the place and the product inside a trend, then that's very appealing. What region is it? What appellation?
Rogue Valley.
Rogue Valley?
Rogue Valley in Southern Oregon.
That sounds, Oregon's pretty hot right now, and that would qualify to talk about the appellation and new products and where it fits.
One of the other issues that we're having too is we feel like we want to expand beyond just beverage media into lifestyle media, and a lot of those writers, like, they keep their email. It's almost impossible to find their emails or how to contact them directly. Do you have any advice on that?
I do. I mean, interestingly enough, if you're talking about the consumer press, a lot of them will follow very closely the trade press and get their ideas from us. We usually are on the front lines, and they're usually sitting in the back, picking off the best looking ideas. So.
Well, then you'll be hearing from us.
Yeah.
Or look for people on social media too. Sort of like if somebody is on Instagram or on Twitter and you follow them and connect with them that way, it's not a bad idea.
Well, and there's tools like Cision and some other ones that list or keep contact information for journalists. They're expensive. Like, we don't subscribe to them, but at least it will give you those kind of contacts.
Yeah, that helps too. And companies like the one he just mentioned, Cision, they might have, is CISS?
CISION, like vision, but with a C.
Is that how it's spelled?
Yeah, like
okay.
vision with a C.
Okay, forgot. Sometimes they'll have a writer's keywords of what they cover. Now, I only write about the distilled spirits industry, but I also do a little bit with modern brewery age for beer. But I get a lot of coffee emails. That's brewing. So so what's happening in the PR firm or the company, they're not really looking, as one of you just said, they're not looking that extra step to say, what does this publication really cover? What does this writer really cover? So I get coffee, stuff, and I get soda and soft drink stuff because I'm in the drinks business, but I'm not writing about that.
A corollary question was to that, and you guys kind of addressed it a little bit earlier about sending out mass emails. I know when I used to work at an agency, our task was to get as much ink as we possibly can. So that means you have to send it out to as many people as you can. And probably the 80-20 rule applies. If you're sending out mass emails, you're not going to get picked up by many people. So if your focus is on a limited number of publications, as trade media might be, you might be better off doing individual pitches to the particular editor based on what they're, not just the editorial calendar, but the stuff that they've been talking about or what they wrote in their editorial message in the last issue. So the question then becomes for you guys is how important is customized pitching versus sending out a mass mail release, which by definition is what releases are.
Yeah, well, one of the little comments there is just something as simple as formatting. When you get a mass email and it says, "Dear Gregg," and it's in one typeface and one font size, and then the rest of the message is different, it wasn't customized for you. That's going to 1,000 or 10,000 other people. So I think from what you asked, something that's tailored right to me, and if they sort of mention my publication name and they know what I've written about before and what I'm covering, that catches my attention a little bit more.
Got one over here, microphone.
Can I put something else in there as well? Is also remember that we have these things called spam filters. And if you're sending us mass emails, that's the kind of stuff that will never even catch our eyeball because our spam filters will pick up on that. If it's a personal email, it's much more likely to find its way into our email box where we're going to see it.
Question?
Yeah,
here?
so my question is, right now you're talking about very granular, detailed things. That's awesome. But tell us about what you've reported on in the last 6 months, whatever that you find exciting or interesting, path-breaking. Talk about something that you've enjoyed to switch it to the other side of the discussion for a minute.
Good question.
Which one do you want to take? I publish every Friday, so it's a different focus than, well, you guys are monthly?
Monthly.
And you're how often?
Every day, pretty much.
Oh, well, because of the election. Okay,
We
yeah,
just
I
have
wasn't
so
sure
much,
with your
yeah.
new format if you were keeping it quarterly. Okay. Well, why don't you answer that first, yeah?
I was going to say it's a thrill, a small thrill to be able to write about rosé in a way that feels like we're all participating in something that's really fun and profitable and still gaining steam. We have a cover story coming out in June. It's all about rosé. We could have written 10 times as much stuff, and I'm not sure that what we wrote really matters as much as the idea that we're writing about it, because everybody who is part of the rosé phenomena is selling what they carry, and we don't care as much about specific brands as about the whole tidal wave of rosé, and I think it's a lot of fun right now. But beyond that, I would just say the best read parts of beverage media have been consistently over the years new products, which we split up into several departments, and social events, trade events, the pictures from around town, the events that happen. People still like to see who was at what party, that kind of thing. So those are sort of timeless things of interest.
I love that comment because I've been aware of that. So if we're having an event, something like this, and we have a picture, we send it to Tish, it gets there. I know pretty much everybody in the industry is going to go to that section when they get the magazine. In fact, one of the things we did, I don't know if I ever told you this story, we were trying to find a particular distributor, and so we ran an ad, happened to be in beverage media, and I made the appointment with the distributor on a Thursday because the magazine landed on his desk on Wednesday, and we know that everybody in the industry reads that first thing, and so it caught his eye, and it was all that. So it's also understanding the industry and working it, but the about town things are everybody goes there, want to see who was where, who's playing golf, what's going on, right? Another question. One in the back.
Just a finer point on the formatting of the emails. What are some guidelines for effective subject lines that will actually get you to open?
That's a really good question.
That's a good question.
Because
Yeah.
it's so easy to delete them before you even open them. It is so easy. If whatever it is you are pitching, if you can make it short and snappy, I mean, just the idea that you're thinking about the subject line, you're way ahead. It's always good.
So write it like a headline, like
Exactly,
a provocative
like a
newspaper headline?
Yeah, that
Right.
goes back to the first thing I said today when I was answering Robin's question is, just Gerald, keep it really simple, right to the point. The guy up here before talked about the 45-second elevator speech. Well, think of that in your headline, your subject line of your email. It's not 45 seconds, it's like a microsecond. So bring it down to that.
Do you like to see keywords in there like editorial pitch or, things that are actually...
I find that dorky, but that's just me. I find that old-fashioned corny. But I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I would read right past those.
Yeah, I read every email, so the subject matter doesn't matter.
Another question? I have a follow-up here. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Sorry.
A lot of the wineries and distilleries here are all the type B wineries and distilleries, just kind of getting their feet going here in the U.S. I'm thinking that potentially one of the opportunities for winemakers or distillers is to meet individually one-on-one with members such as yourself to introduce your brand. Is that something that you find as an effective strategy to kind of learn about what's going on, or is that something that you frown upon?
Within my time schedule, sure, I'm happy to do so. I don't always have that time, but so that's why email or telephone. I like the telephone too. I actually do use that instrument every now and then. Yeah, but and I'm happy when somebody actually uses the telephone to talk to me. I'm shocked, but that some people even know what it is. But I will meet one-on-one, but I don't have a lot of time. For me, it's more going to maybe a press event in the evening.
Another question?
And I would say we get out in the field quite a bit, since we're in quite a few different industries, so we're invited to lots of places in the world, and usually when we're doing that, we'll try and do multiple things at the same time. So we do very much enjoy visiting and learning firsthand about what we write about. And we do longer types of stories because I think the buyers today have to learn the story. They have to know the story so they can convey it to their customers, because as we've heard from the previous presentations, that's very important right now to a particular type of buyer, is that knowledge is what prompts them to want to buy the product.
I have a question about when I was looking at the panel and thinking what everybody was all about. You're a digital publication. I don't know if you ever were a print publication.
Mine was never print.
Never.
No.
Okay.
No.
With the name, it might have been. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I borrowed the name from a publication that started just a couple of years ago. It was 1933, I think. That was Modern Brewery Age. And my buddy who used to work for them bought it from the sons of the fellows who started, the brothers who started it. They were print, and then they went digital. And when I decided to start Modern Distillery Age in 2009, he's a buddy, and we just decided to look similar, but we're separate publications. So I didn't ever start with paper.
Okay. So pure online. iSante originally started as a print magazine, kind of got fewer and fewer issues, and gradually the online piece of it became more important, and now it exists.
And let me add that now we have a magazine again. So it's,
yeah.
it's digital, but it's done in a printed printed
And then
format.
on Tish's side, they're both online and digital. Where's all this going? What's the future look like? What's the role of print?
Both.
Yeah, and it's got to be both, especially for what you do.
You're supposed to answer that.
I think it's, well, in our case, it's both because we have a built-in, it's a pricing guide, and the pricing is set each month in New York, and it's just built for, it's still good for print. It is not that way in other markets because every state has different laws and all that. I think that we're just going for much faster cycles on everything, whether it's print or digital, and that makes when you can actually get your email in somebody's email address or your brand name in their hard drive, it just is so much better because then look, we all want to make our lives easier. You actually said you used the word lazy. It's close to it. We all want to be efficient, and like if I now know from having whatever we wrote about with Rosé for this issue that I know that there's a retailer who I will call for questions about Rosé, or there are distributors who now I know are, you know what, they have the organic and biodynamic stuff down. So there's no real script for print or digital, I think, but the idea of making sure that your identity, your brand identity, or your mission, whatever it is really crystal clear, and that it's targeted, and that you know where you fit into this industry. That's going to make the media you're going to be much more appealing to the media. It's like, okay, those guys do this and they do it well, done. I don't have to worry about everybody else because I can talk about them and be authentic and useful to the readership that we have.
Okay. Question over here, microphone.
Yeah. So you've been talking a lot to telling us, how to get in front of you a little bit better. Because y'all are digital, you have pretty good information on the other side of the monitor. So what people are reading on your magazine. Would you be willing to talk at all a little bit about what types of articles or what type of information you see the most inbound reception from your readers from, and kind of pursuant to that, like what can we do to get in front of you and help you do your jobs better?
Great question.
Well, I'll just repeat what I said before. New is always of interest. That helps you get in front of us to get in front of them. What products are literally new and where you can fit into trends. I'm not sure if that was the right way to answer that question.
No,
go ahead.
The statistics for us are not as believable as you might think. A lot of the privacy things that are built in the web browsers nowadays restrict a lot of that data flowing back out towards us. So we do have some information, but it's not necessarily perfect information. So for us, it's also going to events like this and talking to real people who are reading our magazines and hearing what's on their mind and hearing what they like and what they dislike helps us adjust the content to sort of suit their needs.
I think we have time for one more question. Anybody out there? I have one. Where's the point where you're following up and you're being helpful and you're being a pest? How should people follow up? Is it, hey, did you get yes, you did get it.
One follow-up isn't so bad. If I didn't reply, if I didn't say thanks for this, or didn't ask a question to get a fact check, or if I didn't ask for an image or something. But, one follow-up might be fine, but if it gets into the second or the third or the fourth and it gets a little too...
When are you going to run my article?
Yeah, I know, yeah. When are you going to run it? What page is it going to be on? No, I don't like those questions. That's annoying.
You guys want to comment on that?
It all depends, I think, situation specific. But
Well, you had said that you like it when people, or that you're okay with people
I'm
following
okay,
up.
especially by email. I think email follow-up is really the most convenient because people read their emails in their own way and they don't have to answer, don't have to worry about the phone or the voicemail. They get to the email when they get to it. I like email.
Yeah, sometimes it's not the right time. So I'm more than happy to have people follow up with me multiple times
great.
because that just helps us make sure that we haven't missed something or if we've forgotten about it because we moved on to something else. And so a lot of it's the timing of things. If we're working on something completely different, someone gives us information that isn't really in line with what we're working on at that particular time. Certainly coming back to us at a later date sometimes helps them.
Okay, great. Sorry to cut it off short, but we've got to get set up for the next masterclass. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.